I muted us for a second there, but I was quick off the draw. Yes. Hello, everybody. It is 9 in the UK. Maybe slightly changed because the clocks are out of whack, but it's UK Cowboys time. How are we doing, Mr. Graham?
Quiet week.
It's not a bad thing.
No, it's not a bad thing, but I feel like we were on a roll. It's probably come at a good time for Zeke. But yeah, looking forward to the week off. Won't have too many eggs in the basket for tonight. I don't think the our friends in Texas are going to do us any favors, but you never know. As my dad says, that's why they play the games.
This is true.
So never know. How are you?
Yeah, good. Like you say, it's nice. Like on one side, like to be selfish, the bye is nice because you get to have a bit of a break, and you're just like, and it's like foot off the gas a little bit, just like take it all in, wash the first half of the season away, but then get ready for the craziness because we've got like 2 games, and I've had a look, very nice 9 p.m. games here in the UK, both of them.
Always a pleasure.
Yeah, but what's even better then is that obviously you've got Packers Vikings.
Yeah.
And then it's Thanksgiving. There's a 9:30 kickoff. So there's another nice one. And then you're pretty much into the run of it then. You're into December. So college is into its bowl season and all the rest of it. You've got all the all-star games coming up. It's a good time of year. I like it. It's very nice. But like you say, it was funny you brought up this point. And I'll hit on the fan rant part in a moment, but we'll hit this because this could be our first rant. It's funny that you mentioned about momentum because, like, the bye can be a good and a bad thing. And like you say, that the Cowboys are coming off big game, big win. All the parts are clicking into place and steamrolling, and then all of a sudden it's like, nope, stop, and you're like, and it can take the wind out your sails.
Yeah, it can. I mean, like some teams will be desperate for the bye. I don't think the Cowboys particularly were. We had literally just got Dak back in the full swing, and it's like, okay, you're back, but slow down.
Yeah,
and then we'll have
gone again.
We'll have to pick it up again. But yeah, bit of a test against the Vikings, and then we've got the Packers to give a bloody nose to. So we'll see how we get on with that. But yeah, if we can give Zeke another week to recover, then that's fine.
Yeah. Well, keep going. I'm not going to stop you.
No, it's just like I don't think from the defensive side of the ball, I don't think they particularly wanted the bye at the minute because I think we're playing stellar defense. Obviously, they've made a couple of moves on defensive line, which we'll get to talk about. But on the whole, I think the defense is flying at the moment. So, if anything, they wanted to continue the season. But, everybody gets one. This is ours. So, at least we can give Zeke more time to recover.
Yes. Yeah, sorry. I had too many lights on there. It's shining in my face. I could barely see your pretty face, Graham. So, I do apologize.
I just thought you had a great idea.
Yeah, that never happens. That light bulb up there, I don't know, the fuse is gone, the gas is burnt out, the filament's burnt, the glass is all smashed. There's not much going on there. But guys, just remember, this is a fan rant show, so everything that we're discussing tonight is controlled by you, the viewers. So we can see some comments already coming in. We'll bring them up in a moment. But basically, it's just an entire show. We usually do this show, and it's very, very popular for obvious reasons. We usually do it as the first, post-game show once the Cowboys season finishes, wherever it finishes, whatever the first show is after that final Cowboys game. We usually do a fan rant show, so it gets a little heated. But this one, I think is going to come in a little bit more mellower because everything's on a nice keel, as you mentioned, Gray.
Yeah.
So things are just moving in the right direction. And it's all about, and here's the funny part, right? Let's talk about this. When you think of, deep playoff teams, and this is something I was thinking about the other day. You think of deep playoff teams, what have they all got? They've got an efficient passing game. They have more than one running back they can rely on and an elite defense. If you turned around and you said, what are the Cowboys right now? You go, efficient at passing, 2 running backs, good defense. So it's like, last year when we were talking about the strength and depth and quality of the players the Cowboys had on their roster.
Yep.
That was true. And it is probably in retrospect, in some ways, when we were talking about it in the offseason, is better than this year's. But it's also quality in all the right places of what you need to make playoff runs and to win games.
Yeah.
I think the differences from last year's roster to this year's.
Straight off the bat, I would say an offensive line that's 1 year older. A kind of more stable left tackle. When you consider that, I mean, Smith in his rookie season, I think he's doing fantastically well.
Yeah.
You could almost think there wouldn't be any need for Jason Peters if we had 2 Smiths on the left side of the line. That would be fantastic. So much more depth at tight end. I mean, Hendershot and Ferguson are doing superbly well for 2 guys that I will admit I questioned it. 2 young guys, you don't know. Like, not being a particularly huge college fan, I didn't know them particularly well, but that's why I'm not in the Cowboys front office, and they obviously know what they're talking about, and they've fitted in superbly well. We haven't had the best of seasons from Dalton Schultz yet, but that's the alarm bells haven't rang because we have depth at tight end, and they're doing extremely well. Changes at wide receiver, but like you said at the start of the show, we're more than sufficient at wide receiver. You can't.
What do you think as well? Like, people are talking, right, Gray? And I didn't mean to interrupt, but you brought on a good one with the wide receiver, and I'll let you continue. Is that people are saying, and I got to admit, Jalen Tolbert last week did not look good. I will say that straight at the bat. He was, what's the word I'm looking for? He was getting in the way. Is a good way to describe it.
Yeah. You're not going to hit on all of your draft picks, and you're certainly not going to hit on them all straight away. No. It's too early to push the panic button on him, but I would have certainly have liked a little bit more. Not too concerned now that Michael Gallup is back and doing his thing now. CeeDee Lamb, it seems to be getting better every week. I don't know about you, but I don't think there have been that many concentration drops compared to last season. If we're still talking about last season, I think he's starting to become the number one. Would we have liked him to be a number one caliber earlier? Obviously, but they're still young guys, and they're ascending all the time, and long may it continue.
Yeah, I mean, like, because I'll bring up 2 points here, and then I'll let you have your next natter. Is people are saying with the Brandon Cooks thing, and apparently that was millimeters away from being sorted. Issue I think that happened is they tried to do the trade after the Chase Claypool trade, and then all of a sudden value on wide receivers all changed. Apparently the same thing happened with the Packers, believe it or not. They tried to
I can believe that.
apparently, yeah. They went out, they tried to go out and get Jerry Jeudy. The Chase Claypool trade happened, and I think they were offering like maybe a second round. That happened, and they kind of just went, hold on now. Judy's better than Claypool. We're gonna have to ask for more, and it just went, And I think that's what happened with Brandon Cooks as well. But what you can't forget is James Washington's coming back.
He is.
He's not far away.
How do you expect Jalen Tolbert to progress when you have him at number 4 in the depth chart? He's got to see the field. He's got to see the field to improve. I have to admit, I've only just heard little bits and pieces around it. I know Lauren put up in the private chat about 18 million in guaranteed money and so on. I would have been extremely frustrated if they had given up a second round pick for Cooks, because we only literally just let Amari Cooper go.
Yeah.
What's the difference? I mean, I understand they're two completely different receivers, but
yeah, I mean,
see, I would see Cooks stretching the field more.
Yeah, you are correct that they are different types. They're both completely different in skill set. I mean, but my trouble there is that I'd be like, okay, great, you get Brandon Cooks, which patches up the problem, but now you've got a 5th round back, you've got rid of a $20 million wide receiver, and now you're giving away a second, and you're paying $18 million.
Yeah.
So everything, like, okay, you saved $2 million, but you've just lost the 2nd round draft pick and gained a 5th. They're not the same.
You also need to ask yourself, if both of them were available in free agency, who would you go for? It's Amari Cooper.
Yeah.
So even if they did bring Cooks in, it's still a downgrade. You've given up more in draft capital, and you're paying around the same number. So it seems strange to me, because it was almost as if there was a kind of admission that they felt they'd left themselves short at wide receiver. I think it's clear to see that they were banking on Jalen Tolbert an awful lot more.
Definitely. There was a lot of pressure on him.
Yeah. Now
that was
back,
obvious.
Yeah. Now that Michael Gallup's back, the pressure's eased a little bit.
Yeah, and what kind of has helped is that Noah Brown kind of took a bit of that workload off for the first few weeks. But another part that makes that whole trade even crazier is, think about this. Amari Cooper is like 27 years of age. Brandon Cooks is like, 30, 31? So you're getting an older guy in that stage. And Brandon Cooks comes with a bit of a little bit of baggage in terms of injury history as well. So you just kind of like, I get it, because you need to get that wide receiver. Well, what the Cowboys, ironically, are missing which why Amari Cooper fitted so well in what he did, is what they're missing is an X receiver, that possession style receiver.
Yeah.
Because we've got CeeDee Lamb who can play the the slot and the short game, and he provides you with enough. His skill set provides you enough where you can use him deep and on the intermediate. Gallup's a deep guy, who's going to take, who's going to take safeties off with him. So, like, your route combinations kind of look a little squiff at the moment when you look at it, because they don't have that X type, and that's what they're missing. And then you sit there and you go, "Well, that was Amari Cooper."
Well, it was, yeah, it was. I mean, in terms of players that can stretch the field, have they considered? Do you think they'll consider Turpin a bit more?
They have to, I think,
because if they line up Turpin out wide, if I'm a cornerback, I'm taking a couple of steps backward.
I mean, the issue I think with Turpin is that he's like 5'9".
Yeah,
he's really short. So, like, even if you want to play him as a burner, most of your cornerbacks out there that can match up against him are going to be 5'10", 6 foot.
Yeah,
that's easy. Do you know what I mean?
He's going to have to clear the corner by a 4 or 5 yards to get it over the corner. So yeah.
And Dak has really got to drop that ball in. That's the trouble. And I don't know what his route running is like, because honestly, I know there's some that you can see on tape, but like at this level in the NFL, like how's that? I can't say how it's going to work.
Yeah. I mean,
It's the right combinations that are the trouble at the moment.
The only route I could see him having any real success on would be a stop and go. You know, if he plants
a bang nine,
fakes inside, and then on the 9 route,
but throw a bang 9 at him.
Exactly, corners are clever enough to compensate for that. So, I get that they don't really have a receiver that can stretch the field, but I would have to think about when we did. You know, have they had a speed receiver for a few seasons now? Nobody comes to mind. They're a possession team on offense. You know,
big time.
They run 3rd and short. They get the first down and they start all over again. And nobody questioned the time of possession and the short game when we were blowing teams away in 2016, 2017. So it can work. It's not as if you need somebody to take the top off of a defense. If you're good at getting the first down, that's okay. You know, you can get by with that. Plenty of teams have done it in the past. So I'm not too concerned about somebody that can take the top off. But Tolbert, Gallup, Lamb, Brown in reserve, Washington coming back. Let's face it, there are worse receiver cores in the NFL. I watch one every Sunday.
There you go. Yeah, and I mean that's one that will be coming up, and we'll get. You know, you'll see that, and you'll see what everybody always says. Oh well, and it's. Do you know what makes me laugh? This is the bit that makes me crack up, right? That you see it happens as it has in the past with Brady, and now it is with Aaron Rodgers. Like they all go, it's his receiver course. He's not helping. You need receiver help. Yeah, in the past when that's happened with Dak, it's always been, well, your quarterback makes your wide receivers better.
Yeah.
You know, like how quickly that narrative has turned when you get one of the top dogs involved in this. You know, it's funny how that takes a very quick heel turn. That all of a sudden it's not Aaron Rodgers' fault; it's his wide receivers. But when it was happening with Dak, it was Dak, he's not an elite quarterback, and you're just like, you're back here like,
You know, a small part of me thinks, you know. Well, do you know what, Aaron? See, if we weren't paying you $50 million a season, we might be able to afford to go out and compete in free agency. But at the moment, you're taking up a fifth of the cap. So what do you want us to do?
Yeah, I know, man. Isn't that wild? He's taken so much money over there.
I mean, I get that, but
you got to pay.
Tom Brady was never like that. And the guy has more rings than he can wear. Was he ever highest paid?
No. There was times where he was earning like 17 million when all the other quarterbacks were in the 20s. That's what I mean.
So they could go out and spend money on the defense. They could go out and get Moss or whoever.
Yeah,
makes a difference.
Right, I got a question for you and everybody at home, because remember, you guys are taking over the show. So I'm going to ask you this question. We'll see what everybody's answer is out there as well. What so far has been your offensive player for the Cowboys? If you were to give the award to offensive player of the first half of the season, that award, Mr. Graham, goes to
Tyler Smith.
Ooh, interesting. Is that more because of like thrown in the deep end and given this responsibility before? Okay. Go on, hit me with it.
At the start of the season, let's face it, the sky was falling. You know, you had lost Smith until goodness knows when, middle of December, late December. Dak had broken his thumb, and you're just thinking, right, let's have a look at the draft class. You know, 6 weeks on, we are, you know, we're still in the NFC East title race.
Very much.
6-2. We are not too far behind. Let's not push the panic button just yet. They'll crack eventually. And I think for Smith to come in a rookie season with all the pressure of, is he a first round caliber pick? The answer, absolutely, he's a first-round caliber pick. And I struggle to think of a rookie that has had more pressure, because you could argue somebody like, there'll be tackles taken higher up the board, but I don't remember any of them having as much scrutiny as Tyler Smith.
Yeah.
Especially when Tyron went down. You say first round quarterbacks always have the pressure, but they're not expected to win. They're taking teams are taking quarterbacks in the first round because they're simply, it's a rebuild. Nobody comes in first year and goes on a playoff run. Just ask Pittsburgh that. They're in a bit of a transition period at the minute. So yeah, for me, Tyler Smith, I think he's been superb.
Yeah. And when you think about it as well, what's really cool that I like what's going on with Tyler Smith, I think the players so far he's gone up against. And that saying of steel sharpens steel.
Yeah.
I know steel's on the other side, ironically, but you're seeing that with him, that it's always getting better and strong, because he's on that blind side. So he's got a lot of work to do. But I do like that. Ironically, I do have another question when it comes to the offensive line, so I'm gonna have to change that slightly now.
Okay.
Thanks to that. It's okay. I can work it in. But here's another one. And everyone at home, answer this one. You cannot pick Micah Parsons. Okay? Defensive player for the first half of the season. Yes. That was too easy.
Do you know what?
Go on.
I'm gonna pour my words into a nice big bowl of soup.
Go on.
It's DeMarcus Lawrence.
I was waiting for it. I was waiting for one or two names.
Yeah. I think they talk about 1-2 punch at running back.
Yeah.
The 1-2 punch on the left side of the defensive line is superb. Like, you see 90 and 11 lined up beside each other so many times, and it must give offensive coordinators headaches, because does the tackle take Lawrence? Does the tackle take Smith?
Mm-hmm.
Does the tackle take whoever comes first or second? If there's a spin move, and they go round the outside or whoever, who comes in at left guard? Do they stay man for man? Does the tackle move over? It causes headaches, and I think it's working superbly well at the minute, keeping that defensive line lopsided. And then you've got somebody like a Sam Smith or a Dorrance Armstrong. They're doing especially well on the other side of the line.
Sam Smith.
Or Sam Williams.
He's over there with his guitar.
Smith on the brain tonight. Do you know that's how much of an impression he's having on me? But they have superb depth at defensive end at the minute. And
you think it always seems to be somebody, and this is what I like, right, with the defensive ends, is there's not what, like the 49ers have got Nick Bosa. Don't get me wrong, amazing player, what he's doing, everything, yada, yada, yada. But think how easy it is, or not easy, but I suppose easy, in terms of scheme for us offensive coordinators. You go, stop Nick Bosa. Over at the Cowboys, they'll go, right, stop Micah Parsons. And they go, okay, what about Tank? What about Fowler? What about Armstrong?
Yeah.
What about Williams? And just because there is a different guy every week that teams are forgetting about, and that different player every week, there's like, so far, there's not been any one week the same, where, like, you look last week, Fowler was starting to do things. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, but here's a good one. Dog is bringing one in. your best rookie on defense and offense. So offense, we already know that's going to be Tyler Smith. You've already mentioned.
Yeah.
Let us know at home if you've got a different rookie on the offensive side. But who's your defensive rookie? I know what mine is.
It's probably Deron Bland.
Yeah, that's what mine would be.
It's probably Deron. I mean, I want to say Dorrance Armstrong because he keeps restarting every single off season.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's probably Deron Bland. I think when you consider the draft capital they spent on Joseph and Wright, I don't know. I think Bland sees the field before either of them.
Well, he is.
At the minute, we're only seeing Joseph on special teams.
I mean, because you do. Oh, there we go. He's just made the comment. Sam Williams. So Sam Williams, yeah. But I would say in terms of because Sam Williams has had some really good games, but I think Deron Bland is playing more of a. It's a lot. There's a lot more refinement needed in playing defensive back than it is defensive end. Like that guy at the moment is winning off just pure brute strength.
Yeah. I would say with defensive end, you don't have to think about it. It's like if you're playing defensive end, you go and tackle the guy with the football.
Yeah, especially in Williams' role.
Exactly. But with Bland, they move around so much. They play 3 safeties a lot of the time. I think
and he's playing the slot.
He's certainly been surprised of the season so far.
Definitely.
For what was he undrafted?
Who?
Did they draft Bland? Did they draft
Bland? They drafted him, yeah.
But
I think he was a 6th round pick or the 5th. He's definitely day 3.
Yeah, I had to think about it, and to get that return out of a day 3 pick is excellent.
Yeah. So here's my next one. Who has been yours and everyone at home? Who's been your most surprising player in a good way?
In a good way.
Mm.
Do you know? I don't even know why I had to think about it. It's Connor McGovern.
Interesting. Okay, hit me with it.
It's Connor McGovern because I was I'll admit I was hugely critical of the way left guard looked at the time, but it's an above average offensive line, and Connor McGovern is a starter on that line. So there's, especially when you've got a rookie on your left and a work in progress at centre. I think McGovern has obviously taken the opportunity to start and held on to it. There was no kind of need. Certainly, we don't know there was a need for them to bring in another guard at left guard. I mean, obviously they've got Jason Peters, but I don't know if Jason Peters plays enough to unseat McGovern. Do you get, like, I don't hear his name mentioned enough. I would love to see the snap count because I think McGovern is still out in front. We knew it was going to be a good defense. We did know it was going to be a good defense, but my question was on the offensive line, and they're playing really well.
Good enough.
I think it's time I gave McGovern a pat on the back for a change instead of criticizing him.
Yeah, and here's my one, and you'll know why I'm saying this name, and I am still not removing. I stick by whatever I say on social media. I will always stick by it. And when people want to bring it back up to me, I'll hold my hands up and I go, yeah, I don't remove posts. You got me. And mine will be Brett Maher. There's a huge surprise.
That's. I mean, he was on the practice squad days before the start of the season.
Yeah, I know. He wasn't even on the Cowboys roster in the off season. He kind of joined halfway through camp, like as if they kind of just went, that guy. And if you remember as well, they weren't even doing kicking practice. The kickers were sort of just like lounging around, sitting down, on the sideline or in the center of the field, just chilling out. They weren't doing much at all.
Yeah.
Like even like the media guys were just like, yeah, they haven't done kicking today. They were just kicking a ball against the wall. And you're just like, wow. And so far, one missed extra point, which was blocked. So you can't blame that on him. 2 missed field goals, both beyond 50 yards, which, by the way, is the exact same stat number as Justin Tucker.
I mean, it's superb. He's having a superb season. And I think, I don't know if the pressure is driving him on, but when you consider you've got somebody like Rodrigo Blankenship, I keep bringing up his name, but Blankenship, according to ESPN, has an 80% field goal record and an 80% extra point record. That's pretty good. He had a couple of bad weeks with the Colts and they cut ties. Yeah. So it's not as if there aren't alternatives out on the open market that you can go and get. Thankfully, we haven't had to bother because Maher's having a great season. Could you see Brett Maher at the Pro Bowl? It's
probably
not. It's not. It's not out.
I think at the moment his record, I think, is like 89% field goal rate, and he's just like, here we go. As long as it's above 85, we don't care. But just to answer Volante's question about, I'm assuming Smith means Tyron Smith. He probably look in December. He is back in training. He's back in the building. He's doing code work and all the rest of it. The timeline is still somewhere around the end of December. So could be back for the playoffs, but then you got to think of, match fitness and all the rest of it. He's going to have to get into game shape, as they say. So, still a bit of time on that one. I would say playoffs, unless something remarkable happens, as it always does with the Cowboys and the medical staff, mind. All right, here's one for you then, and everybody at home.
Before we move on, just a point on Tyron Smith.
Yes.
They saved $9.5 million on the cap if he gets cut. I'll put that out there.
That's why I think Jordan Lewis is gone.
That could be your receiver.
Jordan Lewis, I think that's the last we've seen of him.
I think so. Yeah, I think I was on Brian and Lauren, I think it was, and I raised that point. Just the numbers again are against him. He is
big time.
He is at best he is number 3 on the depth chart. You have Deron Bland, who has another 3 years left on his rookie deal. You have a second and a third round pick. It doesn't add up.
There's a lot of depth at defensive back too. When you think of all the guys back there, we still got Kelvin Joseph, Israel Mukuamu. There's the guys we took this year and the undrafted guys from FIU. I forget his name. He'll come back to me now. But there's all those guys, and you just think there's too much behind there for them to have to panic right now. Mm-hmm. So I think that's done. But here's the next question then. All right, here we go. Who is your most surprising player that's played badly? You were not expecting him to be, maybe not badly, but you were expecting at this stage, to be better than what he is. Yeah.
See, it's a toss of a coin for me, and I think you know where I'm going. It's a toss of the coin between Schultz and Tolbert. I expected more from both of them, but I'm probably going to give it to Dalton Schultz
because it's hard to give it to a rookie. Because
it is hard. It is hard.
You got to give the leniency there.
They're coming up against corners that have been there, done that, been to so many Pro Bowls, so many seasons. You know, they're not going to get phased by the slightest little juke or whatever. So, but Dalton Schultz turned down the big contract. Let's face it, it was a big contract for Dalton Schultz. Let's not get carried away. He's not the second coming of Rob Gronkowski. Turned down the deal, played on the tag, and I think that was last time I was on the show. We discussed at the minute he's failing, he's losing.
Do you think he's panicking when he's seeing like Jake Ferguson?
Yeah, he must be.
You're seeing those boys. Yeah.
He must be.
He's a good one, Jabril Cox. Very true.
That could be one. But remember, it's tough to get a jersey on that defense at the minute, or starting jersey on that defense.
Yeah, like the linebackers. Like I think with Jabril Cox, the issue's been Anthony Barr. That they brought him in. He's the free agent, big move. As soon as he came in, all the other linebackers in that group just all went down one. They all just went click, 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 click. And that means just Jabril Cox is gonna struggle to get on the field. And I think that's the trouble. But I have a question directly just for Graham during the rant show. Remember, this is the rant show. You guys take over. Question for Graham. Tyrone Smith comes back. If Tyrone comes back, is he strictly just the swing tackle? Or do you move Tyler Smith to guard and put Smith at the left? This is the tricky one.
That's a great question.
Agree with you there, Labarski, very much. I while you think about that, just bring up Labarski's comment, and we'll get back to the tricky one at left tackle. With Anthony Barr, it's an awkward one because with Anthony Barr, you see one play and you go, "Oh wow, look at that! That's the Anthony Barr we know," and the next play he just completely whiffs and disappears, and it's really weird. I don't know if maybe that's age and his body failing on him a little bit. I don't know, but he's very much there on one play and gone the next. That's the trouble with Barr. And what you're hoping is you're just banking on the good plays outweigh the bad. But going back to this tricky question, left tackle. Let us know, what would you do at home, everybody? Come on, you're taking over this show.
For me, I would start both of them. Because I'm a great believer in you play your best five.
Yeah.
You play your best five. I don't want to get carried away with Tyler Smith. He's only played 8 games. It's not like we're ready to hand out the 7-year extension just yet. So Tyler at guard, Tyron at tackle. If it's the same Tyron Smith we're dealing with, wow.
Because he's always been the crown jewel of the offensive line.
Yeah, if Tyron Smith comes back and is Tyron Smith, if you know what I mean, you get what I mean.
Yeah, of course.
And you've got Tyler Smith at left guard. I don't know if there's a better combination in the league.
Yeah. Because here's the ironic thing, right, Greg, is that we always talk at the moment about how good the right-hand side of the line's been playing. When you think Steele and Zach Martin, they've been playing brilliantly. You know, they've been getting that job done, especially on the run side. Like, the left guard position is a tricky one, but then all of a sudden you put the 2 Smiths over there. Like you say, then you just suddenly go, that's a nice combination. So now all of a sudden you've got a nice combo on the right, a nice combo on the left.
Yeah.
Let's see where this goes.
Andrew's made a comment that he doesn't think Tyron Smith will be around next year, and I think that's why they need to bring Tyron Smith back in, because they need to know what they still have. You know, they need
definitely.
They need every bit of evidence, because if they cut Smith,
It could be a terrible move.
It could be. It could well be. I mean, he could go. He could go for half the money that he's on right now and play 12 games for 12 very good games for somebody else.
He's still, I would say, that like regardless, Tyron Smith, and this is obviously we're talking pre-injury years, so we can't say for sure. But he was still a starting left tackle in the NFL, easy, without a shadow of doubt.
Yeah,
like you could even go as far top 10, easy. The issue has always been in the last half decade is getting a full season out of him. That's the problem, and you have to bake that in with because availability, best ability. I always say that. Here's one for you though, Gray. Moving on from another question, and everyone at home. The most improved. I like that one. Who's been the most improved player this season?
That's a tough one between. I would have my two consideration for that would be McGovern or Odigizua. I think Odigizua has been better than he was last year.
What about Dorrance Armstrong? Or has he always been this guy? We just haven't had enough of a sample size.
It just hasn't. It hasn't registered on the stat sheet. That's what I think. That's what I think. Remember, we've moved on from 2 defensive tackles because of the play of Osa Odigizua.
What about Leighton Vander Esch?
Vander Esch, I would say, is doing well, but I would still have to think about the extension. Like he signed the 1 year, $5 million. Right now, I'm offering that number again. I would not compete to keep Leighton Vander Esch. I would like him around. If he wants to stick around and play 6th season with the Cowboys, absolutely. But if somebody comes in with a silly money offer, best of luck, Leighton, and thanks for the memories. He's not a flash player.
He does everything you need, though.
He does. But when you consider the flash players we have on defense at the minute.
But here we go. Here's my one, and I know what you're going to say because I'm a Texas A&M Aggie. But it's Donovan Wilson is the answer. It has to be. I mean, because he at the moment is maybe one of the best box safeties in the NFL with what he's done from what he was like, and you've seen smatterings of what he can do over the last couple of seasons, but this season, man, that guy is just a meat missile down there, and he's getting onto tight ends, he's getting onto running backs. You've seen it all. So we
saw him flying to the backfield against the Lions. He got a tackle for loss against the Lions.
I think it was. You're right. Yeah. Came out of nowhere too. Just like literally appeared into the screen and made a tackle down the hill.
He's enjoying the Dan Quinn system, of the 3 safety system, because it's given him opportunity to play. Does Malik Hooker still have an injury designation?
We don't know yet because obviously they haven't had practice, so we've got no reports.
So that's going to help. That's going to help Wilson's numbers. But that's a creditable shout. Absolutely.
Yeah. So it is the fan rant show. So we have a rant on. Can we say in big capital letter about run defense is the most lacking? Right. When we're talking about, and absolutely correct, the rant is on. So with run defense, what the issue is it's not the defensive ends setting the edge. It's not the middle of the defensive line plugging up holes. If you look at it, and loads of teams are doing it. They're attacking the cornerbacks. They're coming out wide. They're going off tackle. And it seems to be that for whatever reason, the run defense side on the cornerbacks, they can't handle it. The only thing I will say, and I don't know what you think about this, Graham, is all defenses in the NFL have got a shortfall somewhere. The Cowboys at the moment is that they can't stop the run on the outside. But they don't give up. In a game, I know the Bears are slightly different. We're talking about the number one running offense in the NFL. But when you go back and you look up until that point, the run defense was bad, but we've only had like one running back score against the Cowboys in a game where it's about stopping points. I don't care if you're getting yards, just stop the points. And they are.
I think for me, the kind of comfort in defending the run came against the Lions. The offense wasn't clicking against the Lions, but at no point did I think we're going to lose this game, because our defense at its worst is bend, don't break.
Yeah,
and
they
don't break. They don't break. I mean, we recover fumbles on the 1 yard line. that's how good the line is. I mean, obviously they've brought in Hankins to be a space eater, and he is huge. So we'll see where that falls. Maybe that's trying to address the issue a little bit.
So is Hankins now? Because here's a good question: is Hankins your best run defender on this team now?
I would say he has the potential to be the best. I mean, having a quick look on ESPN, they have Hankins down to start over Bohanna.
On early downs, I can see that. Yeah. And I said this before, like a couple of weeks ago when they took on Hankins, is that this isn't a because like a lot of people are saying, well, what does this mean for Neville Gallimore? And I was like, nothing really, but for Quinton Bohanna means a lot, because they were the exact same player. Just Hankins is a little bit more experienced, a little bit more athletic as well.
They've brought him in for a reason. When you already had 9 off defensive linemen and they bring in Hankins, it's like, right, okay, something's broken, and they've brought more guys in here to fill. This room's getting pretty crowded, so that's it's a revolving door we're dealing with. 10 players to play 4 positions is lopsided. So, Tristan Hill, 2nd round pick, was he getting it done? I think we've found out. No, he wasn't, because he's no longer here.
I mean, bear in mind he's straight with another team. What do you make, everybody at home as well, with the Tristan Hill move? Do you think that that's just a case of too many bodies?
Too many bodies, and it didn't. The potential was never realized. 2nd round pick, like I said. They've tried to fix it. They've brought in a lot of defensive help, interior defensive help. Maybe not, first round talent like a first or a second day pick, but it's on the radar as the school report card, must do better. Needs focus.
Needs more.
Needs more. Needs to apply themselves better.
I had a lot of them.
Mike needs to stop dreaming about Cowboys football.
Yeah. It always seems to be daydreaming. That's what they used to say. It was like, yep, you're just boring.
Do you know, it's interesting to think, what would the fan rant show have been like after Dak broke his thumb?
Oof.
I think we'd be on till 1 o'clock in the morning.
I know.
But I think tonight's show is a realization that we're in a good place.
It's not so bad. Exactly.
We are in a good place. I think the Big Lebowski brought up a comment. The most improved was Mike McCarthy.
Yeah.
Do not underestimate Mike McCarthy's 6-2 record, because Cooper Rush was put in a good position to go and get those wins.
Yeah.
And Mike McCarthy deserves his credit just like everybody else.
And here's the crazy part is we all go on about
we certainly would. We certainly would. Yep, I'd be asking Mike, give me a center. Who's my Tyler Linderbaum?
Yeah. Well, funnily enough, we might be doing a bit of a draft show next week, just for the post-game side of it all.
Oh, I can tell you guys are excited. You guys are excited.
Do you know what? Right, I watch so much college football on a Saturday, and I run games back so much that, before I've been watching an NFL game, and I'm looking at it, I'm going like, I didn't know TCU was playing LSU this week. And I'm watching it, and I'm like, wait a minute, no, this is the wrong colors for the wrong league. They're not. This isn't that team in black is Baltimore, not TCU. What's going on here? It's just mad, like. So I do. Well, I do. How much we love it, but yes.
For DJ Dog, it was the Tristan Hill's now on the Cardinals.
Cardinals, correct? Yeah. So, let's go back though and just say a moment that the Cardinals, damn it, that that the Bears game. Now we always go on about him and how annoying he can be, but Kellen Moore called a really, really good game. There was a lot of good concepts in there.
There was.
He had. We talked about route combinations earlier. How things are missing. He managed to deal with that in this game quite well. With a lot, and he even threw in. If you look at it, that touchdown that Dak run was a designed run play that he put that into the playbook, and he called it just at the right time. And there's a lot there that he did quite well. And I was watching going, okay, I like what you're doing, yeah. And another one, I was like, oh, yeah, I see what you're doing.
Yeah.
And I know overall, if you go through the entire season, you go, ooh, I don't know, he calls it a bit soft. I call him the inverse Garrett. But that Bears game showed a lot that whatever it was he decided to go out and do, or whatever he saw, or what the process was much better.
Midway through the third quarter, I thought the Cowboys were relentless. 14 points first quarter, 14 points second quarter, 14 points third quarter. We survived a slight comeback from the Bears in the second quarter, but again, a game we never ever looked like losing.
They were
which you would expect. You would expect, but they still got the job done.
Yeah, they were just playing. What the Cowboys were doing there is they were letting the Bears play. They were playing the clock basically, and that is what happened. Is the Bears basically run out of time. So it was a good form to see them in. But here's an interesting question for everyone. Rank the three teams. So how would you rank the offensive team, defensive team, special team in orders, in any particular of those orders that you like. Orders apostrophe s, maybe. But how would you rank the three separate parts of the teams?
Oh,
Defense would be first.
Defense is top. It's no question about it. Defense is first. That Lions game in particular was something. I know it's only the Lions. I know they're 1-6, but our offense was choking on something they had swallowed, and the defense coughed it up for them. They brought the defense won that game. I know offense scored points, but that defense won the Lions game. Offenses win games, defenses win championships. That's an interesting comment from the Big Lebarski putting special teams second.
Yeah. I can see it.
You're asking the question because our special teams have been next to flawless.
Consistent.
I think we've given up one trick play on special teams, but who hasn't? Who hasn't?
I mean, like, you look, Turpin. So when we talk about, special teams, Turpin, I think off memory is like 4th in return yards, 4th in average. And I think he's got the second longest return this season. We spoke about Brett Maher. He's like in the top 10 of most accurate kickers. Brian Anger is like, in terms of like hang time, I think he's like 3rd, which is crazy. He's also got the longest punt on the season of 84 yards.
It's good.
Huge kick.
It's tremendous. It is tremendous. I'm still going to put the offense second, though.
Because they got to score you the points.
They've got to score you the points, and they have been without Dak for the longest time. So I would still put defense second. If the special teams were returning a touchdown, a punt return, fumble, whatever, and scoring points every weekend, I would probably put them second. But I still think the offense is not brilliant, but it's good enough. It's good enough. And I think once Dak finds his rhythm like he did against, you saw Dak find his rhythm against the Bears, 49 points. You can't ask for much more than that. So it's an ascending unit. And then the special teams have been next to flawless. So we're in a good place. We're in a good place. I don't think there'll be any late nights on the bye week from the coaching staff. I think they'll go home at reasonable hours, fairly content. Hope that everybody rests up and nobody does anything stupid. And we'll come back and go again next Sunday.
All right. I'm going to ask everybody, these are the last 3 questions that we've got here, and then we'll wrap this show up. Is, first of all, what do you think the score is going to be for the Thanksgiving game? So that's against the Giants.
I'm not as high on the Giants as everybody else seems to be.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Let me just bring up the Giants schedule, because
it's not too bad, I don't think, but I could be wrong. I might be thinking of the Eagles schedule, which I've looked at.
A quick glance at this schedule, when they have come up against a winning team, they've lost. So Jets, Cowboys,
yeah, they've only got 2 losses on the season.
Everybody else they've played, as far as I'm aware, has a losing record.
That says it all.
Yeah.
So what would your score be then, Mr. Graham?
I'm going to go... I'm going to say that the Daniel Jones Wildcat finally comes off the rails, and I'm going to go 27-14 Cowboys.
I like it. I like it. That's a decent score.
They'll start. I mean, respect to the Giants D. The Giants have a decent defense, but they cannot expect Daniel Jones to run the Wildcat like he's been doing. I mean, they even shifted one of their wide receivers.
Yeah.
I bet Daniel Jones didn't thank them for that one. I mean,
Kadarius they shipped off Kadarius Toney, didn't they?
I don't know the Toney situation. Maybe he was unhappy. Maybe he's in a contract year. It's a Giant, so I don't particularly care.
But Toney's only like his second or third season with them.
It's like everything else. If Saquon Barkley goes down, they are stuffed. Well, in a nutshell.
I have spoken to the guys over in UK Giants, and I'm like, well, what would you do? Because like the awkward thing is, Barkley is a good running back. He's just often injured. So like, what do you do there? Do you know what I mean? But my next question to you, the Christmas game, that's against the Eagles. So see what I did there? I'm using the holiday games, but they're also divisional games. That's not what I did. Like I made the schedule. Look what I did. No, but the Christmas game, which is the Eagles.
Yep.
Now that will be an AT&T as well. So pressure is on both of those teams there, the rivals. How do you think that game's going to go?
It's What's the kickoff time at the moment? Is it
for Christmas?
For Christmas, yeah.
I shall tell thee. Yeah, I got it here. It is. Go all the way to the bottom. 9:25.
9:25 UK time. I'm going to say that gets flexed. Can it get flexed to the?
You don't know. I'd have to check.
Anyway, that has the potential to be the game of the season.
Could be. It's going that way.
I mean, like in terms of viewing figures, because right now you're putting a 7-0 team up against are they 7-0?
Yeah, they are. Yeah,
7-0 against a 6-2 team. You look across the league, you have teams top of the division with a losing record.
Look at the NFC West. The South and the West are terrible.
Do you know it's not unheard. There's a strong possibility you get 3 teams out of the NFC East.
Could be.
It could happen. I don't think it will, but it could happen. I think by then the Cowboys will be in a good enough position to edge it. I think Jalen Hurts is a better player year in, year out. He is getting there. I'm seeing Hurts making throws that he couldn't make in his first season. I think
couldn't make them in Alabama.
their wide receiver core, I think, is still better than ours.
Yes,
and they have a good defense.
Good offensive line.
The difference is going to be our running game against their passing game. It's going to be high scoring, but because it's at AT&T, I think we're going to edge it. I would say if to give you a score, I would give you 42-32 Cowboys.
Ooh,
it's going to be a heavyweight slugfest.
Do you know what I'm going to make you do that night? Because bear in mind it's Christmas Eve, and I'm going to get you online. Now I know this. Every time there's a touchdown, we have to do a shot. And if it's 42-32, we are going to be ratted.
We both have young kids, Mike. Is that the smartest thing to do?
I know. I did one year try to put a small, which is still up, by the way, a small, like them little play kitchenette things kids have with
Yeah.
them plastic food
Yeah.
and everything. I put that up drunk on a Christmas
Tra-
Eve once.
You remember, Travis is going to have you up at 6:30 in the morning.
I know. It's 6:30. That's a lie-in, mate.
Oh, is it? Oh,
Yeah.
I feel your pain.
I'm usually on. Sometimes he'll wake me up and I'll be up this desk and like I wake up and my screen will just have a load of like A's going around. I'm like, oh damn it! In the middle of writing something.
What do you think of Jalen Hurts? Do you think he's a player to be feared?
Yeah, here we go. Yeah, but here's a good one from Labarski. Is Hurts better, or are they just rolling? He's making.
I think he's better.
He's making better. There's throws he wasn't able to make in the past. He's making now. Decision making, though, that's what's got better. The decision making. That's the big one. But here's my last question, and then we'll wrap this up. Predict the Dallas Cowboys final record at the end of the season. You get this right, you get another shot.
I will say that Jalen Hurts has thrown 2 interceptions all year.
Yeah.
So the decision making's there. In terms of record, let's go with.
Just give me the wins.
I'm gonna go with 13-4. 13-4. And one of those losses is going to be one of those freak night games
yeah.
where,
like the Titans.
Yeah, we're playing a team with very little offense, a serviceable defense, and it just doesn't click. Somebody coughs up the ball. It goes 10 yards over Maher's head or stupid like that.
Okay. So here we are. While you have a think, oh no, you've given me your score, but Labarski's asking it's we've got the Packers next, straight after the bye.
Got
an interesting stat on that one, but you'll hear about that next week. I'm not giving stats out for the Packers game on Fan Run. Then it's at the Vikings. Then it's at the Giants. Then it's at the Colts. There's a lot of. Oh no, wait. Hold on, I got that wrong. So it's at Packers, at Vikings. Then it's Giants for the Thanksgiving game. Then it's Colts at home. Then it's Houston at home. Then it's at Jags.
That one. That might be the banana skin.
Yeah, I think that the one that's going to trip us up. So then we've got Eagles at home. Then it's at Titans, and I believe that's the Monday night game. And that's at Nissan. So
that'll be the game.
Trippy.
That'll be the game where Derrick Henry runs for 300 yards.
yeah. Injured. But and then to finish off, then we've got the Washington game in week 18.
Landslide.
Yeah. I'm with this one. So okay, I'm gonna cheat a little bit. I'm gonna say your 13-4 is the ceiling. That's like if the trajectory stays on the way it is. Health doesn't become too much of a concern. We're able to go through it all.
Yeah.
So 13 wins is, I think, definitely achievable. So 2 more losses. So you're looking at, like you say, something weird like the Titans game, and if the Washington game is in contention, so possibly. So 13 is the worst, and the best, and I think 11 is the worst. So it's not that far. That is sort of like, the mean is the 12. But I think literally you're talking if it's 10 wins, that means 4 wins over the teams I just mentioned. Nah, no way. When you think Giants are in there, Colts, which are kind of is starting to come apart the seams a little bit. Jags. We watched the Jags. I was with Jamie on the weekend watching the Jags. And that team's all over the place.
I mean, the Texans. Do the
Yeah, it's
Texans
not
have
happening.
any offensive talent?
Well, what's ironic is, we were talking about Brandon Cooks. He might not be playing tonight.
Yeah, just you wonder how teams can be so void of talent. Teams constantly picking in the top 10. You'd think the talent would stick sooner or later. You've already had the bye. They have.
Yeah. So now they're
difference.
literally in the final stretch. But yes, that's the Fan Rant show. So I'm going to make Graham do some reading. He's going to do the only script reading we've got on tonight's show. So take it away, Mr. Grazies.
So if you're planning to go and see the fantastic Dallas Cowboys defense at home, who would have thought would have said that? Yeah. Make sure you book with Cowboys Experience. They have meet and greet, stadium tours, game tickets, tailgating, and so much more. And because they are our main sponsor, we love them so much. If you mention UK Cowboys, you get free stuff literally for typing UK Cowboys. That's all you have to do. We're not even going to give away how good it is. But it's free. Make sure you also check out the Cowboys content. Obviously, we've no game to talk about on Sunday, so fill your Sundays and the trip up to Sundays with so much good content. Mike and Paul are doing their bit for logging the boys, and we've got guys like Big Game James. We've had Cowboys fans only on the show. We've had Brandon, certainly in the past. When did we last have Brandon on the show? It's been a while.
Yeah, Brandon, they took a little bit of a hiatus while he was moving jobs. Not to dive too much and broadcast his family life, but their show's back on the airwaves now, which is good to see. So
make sure you check that out. And as always, there's always Talking Cowboys, and the Dallas 2023 travel package. Make sure you stick close to the podcast. Get yourself onto the Facebook group to hear about a lot of stuff coming. And you'll be able to fly to Dallas and see the Super Bowl champions. How good would that be?
Yeah, we'll have more information on. We'll have all information on the travel package. As and when. There's no point right now because we're still in the midst of it. Just to let you know that it's there and everything is penciled in. All we've got to do is set it in stone. But thank you very much, Graham. It's been an honor to have you here tonight. It's like a bit of a traditional show. Like, back in season 1 when there'd just be like two of us and be like, Graham.
It's a quiet, relaxing dinner date during the bye week.
And we've been on a dinner date for real. We have.
It's 6-2. It's all good. And we're going to humiliate the Packers next Sunday. What could be better?
Well, that's it from us, guys. We'll see you all next week on Tuesday. Brian, for his post-game show, is looking to do something draftish. So we'll see what we can put together. But have a lovely weekend. Enjoy the bye. But that is it from us. And Graham, take us out, my friend.
Go Texans.